You're aware of the NFL's nickname, right? Since you're watching this video, you probably know what we're gonna say. No Fun League, a moniker given to an org that has made its business over the past few decades to stamp out a lot of things that bring lots of people joy. One of them, of course, is the touchdown celebration. Under Commissioner Roger Goodell and Paul Tagliabue before him, the league has thrown hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines at players for doing everything from pulling out a cell phone, to golfing with a pylon and a football, to trolling the league's most successful and maybe most hated dynasty over one of their most infamous scandals. Now we have to say, the NFL has gotten a little more lenient over the past several years, with group celebrations being brought back into the fray.
Now what's allowed, you can use the football as a prop in a celebration, like a snow angel, you can do group demonstrations.
And players being allowed to once again use the football as a prop. And these are definitely bringing back fun to the No Fun League. But that's not going to stop us from looking back on some of the most outrageous celebrations in NFL history. Ones the NFL said no to, but we wish we could see again, and sometimes still do, even though they're banned. Okay, well, maybe some of these we don't want to see again. Twerking, anyone? Let's start with the original King of the Band celebration, Terrell Owens. In 2002, the Pro Bowl receiver turned heads in a game between his San Francisco 49ers and the host Seattle Seahawks. And not just because of an impressive TD catch that gave the Niners the lead in the fourth quarter. After the play, he pulled out a Sharpie that he had stashed in his sock and...
What is that, a pen?
Yeah, he had a pen in his sock, and he pulled it out and autographed the ball.
Amazingly, Owens didn't get fined for the signing, but the league quickly took action to make sure nobody would use outside props again, or so they thought. Joe Horn was a New Orleans Saints Pro Bowler with the nickname Hollywood, a name he lived up to when he scored his second TD in a blowout of the New York Giants in 2003.
And he pulls up the protective coating.
That's right, Horn had stashed a cell phone by the goalpost. I had told my kids to be at home watching the game, and I told my mama, "Mom, if I score the second one, I'm going to get my cell phone out," Horn said. That call came with quite a phone bill, though. The league fined him $30,000 for it. If you're thinking, "I remember the cell phone thing, but I thought it was a different member of the Saints," you're right. 15 years later, in 2018, New Orleans Saints star receiver Michael Thomas paid homage to Horn by doing the exact same thing. He got the exact same fine from the NFL too. And when someone asked Thomas who put the phone there, he said, I think Joe Horn left it. Let's stick with the Saints on the next one. It wasn't made popular by a New Orleans player. That distinction belongs to Tony Gonzalez. And over the years, dunking on the goalpost became a hugely popular celebration with anyone who could elevate that high. But in 2013, the Saints' Jimmy Graham, who famously played college hoops before getting into football, took his famous touchdown celebration a little too far. They'll have to get the level out. The next season, the NFL banned the dunk, not that it stopped Jimmy. Before becoming a famous face on TV, Nate Burleson caught TDs for the Vikings, Seattle, and Lions. It was for the last team that Burleson picked up a $15,000 fine for a pair of celebrations during a game against the Rams during the 2010 season. One was for showing off an unauthorized shirt underneath his jersey, something that happens in the other football all the time. Burleson's message? What up, though? Being fined for the other celebration was a little less surprising, as he kicked the ball into the stands. That's a no-no. At least Nate Burleson just kicked the ball into the crowd. After scoring in a game against the Cleveland Browns, his former team in 2018, New York Jets running back Isaiah Crowell, we'll just let the video do the talking.
And that'll draw a flag.
Guess he didn't like the Browns fans while he was there. Needless to say, Crowell picked up a fine, over $13,000 for the, move. And his mom disapproved. "I did not like it as a mother," she told ESPN. But it wasn't all bad. Crowell ended up getting a sponsorship deal with Dude Wipes for the celebration. Maybe the most famous butt-related celebration came from one of the GOATs, Randy Moss. Moss, while with the Minnesota Vikings, had real beef with the Green Bay Packers fans, and in the 2004-2005 playoffs, it boiled over after he caught a key fourth-quarter TD pass. Joe Buck wasn't happy at the time, and Moss got fined $10,000 for the fake moon, but Randy didn't regret it. He explained it by saying Packers fans mooned him first.
"You know who we drew first round of the playoffs? Green Bay Packers." I said, "Dude, you got to be kidding me."
And for real. And when asked how he was going to pay the fine, a famous line was born.
Straight cash, homie.
Antonio Brown is one of several players on this list who did their share of banned TD celebrations. Some of them were pretty innocent, like a dance with Le'Veon Bell that cost Brown more than $24,000 because it was his third fine of that season. Others were a little more unusual. There was this jump into the goalpost, and then there's his infamous twerk against Washington. Maybe the strangest thing is that Brown actually got fined less for the last two than that innocent dance with Le'Veon. Antonio Brown wasn't the last player to twerk after a TD. A couple of years later, Tyreek Hill did it and got a penalty for it. That wasn't the last time Tyreek got dinged for a celebration. Hill's famous Deuces celebration is still earning him fines. He got one just last October for throwing up the peace sign versus the New York Giants. Odell Beckham Jr. is known for incredible catches, but he also turned heads in 2017 for a surprising celebration where he acted like a dog peeing. OBJ was vague about his explanation for why he did it. One thing that wasn't unclear, he got fined more than $12,000 for the gesture. There was a time when Key and Peele rightly ruled the internet, and their excessive celebration sketch was a perfect parody of the NFL's celebration crackdown. Well, pretty soon after, life imitated art, when yet another Saints receiver, this time Lance Moore, did Hingle McCringleberry's forbidden three-pump celebration, and wouldn't you know it, he got a flag too. One of the most widely understood celebration bans is the one that forbids any sorts of displays of violence, like the throat slash gesture that once got Dez Bryant fined, or Justin Jefferson's brief gun gesture that got him fined just last season. But the bow and arrow sometimes feels like it could be a middle ground. Is it really that violent? The NFL says yes, and for a while Josh Norman was its most famous practitioner and victim of fines. In his first stint with the Dallas Cowboys, Ezekiel Elliott made it a tradition to hop in the Salvation Army kettle after touchdowns. This celebration spread to his teammates. The Cowboys tight ends even once played whack-a-mole in the kettle. Throughout, the NFL upheld its own tradition, fining people for celebrations. 'Tis the season. If you know Terrell Owens, you know we weren't going to stop with just his Sharpie celebration. Remember the time he trolled the Patriots over the Spygate scandal by pretending the football was a video camera? That stunt in 2007 cost him $7,500. But Owens is most famous, or infamous, depending on your perspective. One actually earned him a suspension. It was also one of the few celebrations that actually drew retaliation from the other team. Yes, it was this moment. When it comes to celebrations, almost nobody could compare to T.O. Notice we said almost, because there's one player who might just have surpassed Owens as the king of excessive celebrations. Chad Johnson, aka Ocho Cinco. We could describe his celebrations, but let's just take a look instead. There's putting the football like a golf ball, the sombrero and poncho, the Hall of Fame jacket, performing CPR on the football, the river dance, and of course, taking control of the camera. He got a lot of fines, but he didn't care. As he once said about the fines, they keep jacking them up, I'll keep jacking up the celebrations.